Welcome, dear viewers. Today, prepare to explore a world where genetics rule the law, where eternity becomes tomorrow, and every gaze questions the future. This is Immortal Ad Vitam. For this journey, I have the honor, or perhaps the vertigo, of welcoming a divine presence, the god Horus.
I am Horus, son of the sky and guardian of thrones. First among gods, I do not pass through time, I command it. If I am here, it is because eternity itself has summoned me. Immortal Ad Vitam offers me a mirror, one that reflects my divine nature, and the love I bear for women, they who silently carry the world's deepest secrets.
If you're watching this video, it's already a vision. So feel free to like, subscribe, or leave a comment. Every interaction matters, even those sent from the future. At the turn of the 2000s, French cinema once again ventured into the uncertain realm of genre films. A quest nearly doomed from the start for seducing audiences with fantastical visions in a country that often views them askance, demands relentless effort. Yet a few films rose, became cult classics, beacons in the night. Among these rare chosen ones, Immortal Ad Vitam stands as a sacred anomaly. While the world shifts and screens fill with Hollywood blockbusters, another voice emerges. That of a comic book creator, master of the 1980s, summoning his visions to breathe on screen. Immortal Ad Vitam marks the return of the Nikopol trilogy, between science fiction and poetry, between concrete and divinity. A work that, in its own way, reshaped the graphic imagination of its time and struck a vibrant chord with young viewers, captivated by fallen gods and suspended cities. Dear Horus, your face already crossed the pages of comic books, long before screens opened to you. In the 1980s, you were there frozen in ink, yet pulsing with a strange presence. How do you explain this resurgence, this transmutation from drawing to digital flesh?
My immortality was shattered, but eternity reached out to me. I crossed from ink to pixel, from myth to motion, and Nikopol remains a fragment I cherish, a rebel, a cracked soul, a man who wavers but never bends. Like me, he speaks to gods without lowering his gaze.
No doubt. But in the film, you lose what once defined you, immortality. The divine falters, the body becomes fallible. How does one live through the fall after knowing eternity?
I am no longer immortal, and yet, here I stand answering you. Time has broken me, but it has not erased me. What gods lose, men sometimes reclaim. I am that remnant, that whisper, that fragment of eternity that refuses to be silent.
It was Charles Gassett, producer crowned by the popular success of Tanguy, who reached out to Enki Bilal. A rare offer to transpose a drawn universe into a feature film with a budget French cinema reserves only for safe visions. But here, it was an uncertain vision, strange, hybrid, nearly impossible. Gassett connected Bilal with a French visual effects studio. And then, a promise emerged, to fuse reality with synthetic images, to let gods breathe through pixels, to make walls tremble under algorithms. Bilal accepted. He didn't negotiate, he began to transmute. It wasn't his first journey. Back in 1989, He had already opened a breach with Bunker Palace Hotel, a genre film, a film of ruins, a film of watchfulness. The audience hadn't followed, not yet. But time sanctified it. 2 César nominations and a cult aura that keeps growing. Enki Bilal is in his Paris studio. It's 1999. He's finishing an album, a fragment of the Monsters trilogy, when cinema comes knocking. An offer: adapt his work into a feature film. But Bilal doesn't want to adapt, he wants to transmute. For him, comics and cinema are 2 worlds with different laws. One is read in silence, the other breathes in motion. Faced with constraints, he chooses lightness, the kind that lets you dream unchained. He dives into the storyboard like entering a maze, 1,600 drawings. The city changes name, Paris becomes New York. And the universe unfolds not as an adaptation, but as a free drift, an auteur film, a sci-fi film, a film of reflection. A film that cannot be grasped in a single glance, but demands multiple readings, multiple silences, multiple nights. Naturally, the technology summoned for this film, motion capture, CGI, digital architecture, required 3 years of gestation. 3 years for the matter to take shape, for the virtual to embrace the real. A first in France, a bold attempt to make pixels speak as gods do. During this long preparation, Enki Bilal shot all the live scenes. He captured bodies, gazes, silences, to later fuse them into a world that had to be entirely built. The city didn't exist, it had to be drawn, shot by shot, breath by breath. Over 800 CGI shots, all supervised by Bilal himself, like an architect watching over his invisible city. After 3 years of crafting, the film surpassed its own promises. What was meant to be an adaptation became an ambitious creature, carried by a massive promotional campaign led by distributor UGC. And here stands a French film that dares, that tries to rival Hollywood's big machines, not through force, but through singularity. Enki Bilal wouldn't make this journey alone. At his side, the Duran Lab, guardian of pixels and light, mobilized 100 graphic artists, 20 programmers, code alchemists, tool sculptors. They didn't just craft CGI, they watched over the lighting, the real matter, the 35mm shoot, as one watches over an ancient ritual. For the music, the original score was entrusted to Sigur Rós, a voice from the cold, already heard in Vanilla Sky, Aquaman, and the melancholic breath of Beautiful Days by Venus. A music that doesn't comment, but breathes with the images. Linda Hardy entered the project through a quiet door, test footage for the heroine's rotoscoping. But Bilal noticed her. He saw Jill in her, a figure suspended between flesh and memory. She became the face of mystery. To play Nikopol, Thomas Kretschmann was chosen, a marked body, a fleeing gaze. And for the role of the doctor from eugenics, the production called on Charlotte Rampling, magnetic presence, icy voice, silhouette of authority. With a hefty budget of 23 million euros, IMMORTAL Ad Vitam earned only a handful of millions in theaters. Yet in French cinemas, 1 million viewers showed up, a rare, almost miraculous figure for an auteur sci-fi film. A quiet feat, but a real one. The American dream, meanwhile, faded. Despite the UGC-Fox deal, the film never reached U.S. theaters. And with them vanished the only chance to recoup such an investment. Still, elsewhere, the breath continued. Home video, TV broadcasts, late-night viewings, the film found its place, slowly, patiently. Little by little, Immortal Ad Vitam became essential for lovers of Bilal's work. A work that divides, disturbs, provokes, especially through its technical choices and its freedom of adaptation. But a work that endures, and was nominated for a César in Best Production Design, a silent recognition offered to a world that exists nowhere else. Immortal is a French science fiction film, but it doesn't stick to one genre. It slips between forms, a touch of action, bursts of drama, a hint of noir, all immersed in a dystopia where science rules, politics decays, and power nears dictatorship. The world it unfolds is cold, vertical, surveilled. But in its cracks, ancient gods appear, Egyptian mythology rises, immortality falters, and bodies become riddles. It's an animated film, yes, but hybrid, synthetic, unsettling. Real sets intertwine with digital characters, in a future where prisoners sleep in cryogenic stasis, suspended beyond time. Loosely adapted from a comic book, the film doesn't aim to replicate, it reinvents. It offers carnal tensions, suspended desires, but its heart beats elsewhere, in a quantum of dreams, in visual poetry, in a breath unlike anything else. Dear Horus, some critics and many women accuse you of crossing a line with a female character. They say you forced her. Was it truly necessary to preserve your immortality?
Necessary? Gods don't ask, they survive. My body fades, my breath wanes. And in this world that no longer believes in myths, I found only one passage. Flesh, lineage, reincarnation. It's not love, it's the final alchemy. And it forgives nothing.
Thank you for your answer, Horus. It's a delicate subject, and perspectives vary. But let's talk now about the world you walk through, New York, cryogenics, gods in exile. How do you see this city, this future? Is it still a place for immortals, or just a stage for their fall?
This world didn't invite me. It tolerated me for a time before trying to erase me. So I searched for a way through, not to dominate but to return. Reincarnation demands a passage. And that passage, I imposed, is not noble, is not fair. But gods are not men. They are instincts, ancient laws, cosmic hungers. The woman, she became my quest. And I became what had to be crossed.
The pyramid is open. The future is set. Now, enough with the preliminaries. Let the critique begin. What the film invokes, what it whispers to the gods, what it etches into our retinas. The UGC logo fades into digital mist, and already the opening credits reveal an anomaly, a strange action, in a futuristic world, sliding toward the roots of an ancient myth. The image doesn't choose between real and synthetic, it fuses them. This visual blend, precisely controlled, immerses us in a story where science becomes organ, where characters multiply like cells in search of meaning. Each narrative thread seems guided by a higher will, an organic logic beyond the human. The graphic environment, sumptuous, doesn't just illustrate, it expands, it reveals. Visual data aligns with admirable coherence, and the effects, powerful, unfold an adventure with the scale of a blockbuster. But behind the spectacular lies precision. The plot, structured like a spiral, draws us into detail without ever losing the thread. Characters approach, cross paths, slowly converge as if pulled by an invisible gravity. The narrative tightens and the universe unfolds. The image ballet continues its unshaken rhythm, almost sacred. The investigation speeds up, events overlap, diverge, echo. The myth returns not as memory, but as engine. It infiltrates the future, reshapes it. Connections between characters redraw themselves, and the story expands. It becomes constellation. Ancient beings emerge, confront present figures, and relationships weave themselves into a dimension where time is no longer linear, but circular. The narrative sophistication slowly unveils buried motives, hidden truths. Each sequence tightens the paths of the investigation. Each silence turns into tension. Emotions sink into the film's very fabric, and the hunt resumes, sharper, more urgent. The stakes redeploy relentless. The viewer is no longer a mere witness. They're caught in the flow, in the myth's internal logic. The story doesn't just tell, it transforms, it absorbs. The details, meticulous, gather into a composition that leaves nothing to chance. The story, captivating, assembles its fragments with near-divine precision. The characters, sublime, converge toward their dark fate, against a backdrop of political corruption and invisible mechanisms. The adventure surges forward, magical, pierced by images that feel carved into the marble of the future. The action enters its final path, a route of emotion and revelation. The ending draws near, driven by a powerful clash, and the finale, spectacular, exceeds the genre's standards. This film tells a story that's intelligent, coherent, and prodigiously immersive, a future that thinks, a myth that breathes. Its subject overflows with detail and imagination, allowing full immersion in a universe both organic and technological, at odds with its themes of reflection. Immortal isn't watched, it's crossed. In conclusion, this world doesn't just exist, it concentrates, it orchestrates. Every shot, every line, every silence holds a multitude of details: life, the universe, gods, mutations, monsters, politics, genetics. It's all there, woven with near-divine precision, as if the film itself were a living organism. And yet, at the heart of this complexity, a love story emerges, unexpected, wondrous, poetic. A human pulse in a world of code and chaos. Immortal surprises through its graphic choices, its visual boldness, its refusal to follow standards while surpassing them. It's not an American blockbuster, and that's precisely what makes it precious. It doesn't aim to impress, but to provoke thought. It entertains, yes, but it also reflects. It casts light on relationships, gazes, emotions born between characters. And in that light, it engraves a truth. Even in the future, even in mutation, love remains possible and poetry essential. And for my verdict, I give it the top score of 18 out of 20 for its power to stir the imagination. And that's it. The critique is complete. If you've stayed this far, it means you've crossed the membrane between the visible and the vertigo. So feel free to subscribe to the channel. There will be more bodies in transit, more mutations to behold. And of course, a massive thank you to Horus for his thunderous, lucid presence, Winged guardian of truths spoken only in silence.
Glad to have walked beside you. I'm just a flicker in the structure, a wing beat in the corridor of images. But if you've seen what I see, then you're already elsewhere.
Thank you and see you very soon.